6-8, but they should be 7-7. They should be 7-7. They should have beat the Bengals. Shouldn't have had that Warrior issue. Slam dunk. They win that game. You're starting to see the rationalization. You're starting to see that creep through a little bit.
Yep. And my response is back. So what? Go ahead. Be Blue Belly, star up 24/7 Homer fan. All right. So what? They should have been 7-7. What's your point?
So you guys are too hard on Mike McCarthy. They should have won 4 in a row here. That's what they should have done.
You don't have to have that accent on it.
I don't know. That's how I think Blue Star Belly 24 would talk.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And I would come back and say, what does that have to do? Look, the objective of this year was to see if you could break through and get over the playoff hump. That was my objective. All right, what's going to be different? That's why so many people were justifiably mad about the offseason. They showed me against the Ravens and the Saints and the Lions with their not totally full capacity of players, but they had their quarterback. They had enough guys that they weren't close. That's where I made my decision on the 2024 season. And that should actually be a separate topic, maybe for tomorrow, another day. Have you made your decision? When did you make it? Or are you TBD? Are you still judging based off what's happening right now? Nothing happening right now with Cooper Rush at quarterback does anything for me. My mind was made up early on.
I guess if this is like a debate, right, where they just go, you take a topic, you take a side, and you just have to argue the point, right?
So like all the sports TV shows that are pre-scripted.
Exactly. But if because obviously if somebody, because I agree with you, I don't know what the insinuation is when you say that they should be 7-7. Okay, and what does that mean?
Yeah.
And so if you're coming at it from the perspective, you're not even talking about McCarthy's job. You're just coming at it from the perspective of you guys have overreacted to how bad this is. If I needed to make that argument, then I would probably say, look, a lot of their struggles early in the season, you got a new defensive personnel that was really exotic. You had pieces that were missing. You were trying to figure out. Zimmer doesn't know that personnel. He's going to take some time to figure out how to apply it. As soon as he figured it out, they've had success with it. Early on, the offense obviously struggled, but you were talking about, again, you're trying to work guys in. Tyler Guyton is playing left tackle. Cooper Beebe's playing center. Those are new positions for new players who are rookies, and that limited some of what they wanted to do offensively. And as soon as they figured out their football team with all these new pieces, they've become a winning football team. They've become a team that should have won their last 4 games. That's, I guess, how they would look at it.
This will make RJ Choppy roll in his grave, but I'm going to say it. And I believe this. I know what the end game is with this current group. I would rather roll the dice, even if it meant I become a 9-win team, to see if the change can lead to the breakthrough. Because the breakthrough is not happening with this group, players and coaches, in my opinion. That's why I wanted them to do something, and I want them to do something this offseason, which Stephen Jones is suggesting is not going to happen. And that may include dealing with Micah Parsons. This is Stephen Jones with Ian Rappaport. They caught up at the owners' meetings right here where everything takes place in DFW, specifically in Irving. And he said, look, we have to review everything, and that includes exploring the effects that signing big money, high-profile, top-of-position players has on the rest of our roster. What he's basically saying is if you pay 3 guys $35 million or more, and in Dak's case, 60, is that smart roster management? And RJ and many others would say it's not. That you're putting way too much in 3 people. And we know what it does to the rest of the team, right? It hurts who your supporting cast is. It hurts your depth. Steven, quote, to me, it would be irresponsible if every year you don't look at the full body of work and the big picture and how those guys fit into that big picture and how we want to think about our team in terms of the big picture moving forward. Should Micah Parsons take that as a slight? Will Micah Parsons take that as a slight?
I don't think he will. I don't know if that's a slight towards Micah as much as it may be.
Why didn't you say that before the Lamb deal?
That's what I'm saying. I'm wondering if it might be more of a slight towards buyer's remorse. If it's something where, hey, maybe we shouldn't have gotten into some of these contracts. So if we're going to do something like this, we might have to make different decisions in the future.
Do you think that it is smart or silly team building to spend that much on those three? It's hard.
It is. I think you've got, it depends on what your salary cap projections are looking like. They had no choice with Dak financially. They just didn't. That's one. Two, I did not know of a single person, not one, that was trying to say, don't give CeeDee Lamb his money. Everybody was on board with it.
Agreed.
And I think everybody's going to be on board for the most part in the fan base and publicly. Everybody's going to be on board with paying Micah.
That's not true. There's more against paying Micah than there was Lamb in the fan base.
Sure. I do think it's,
whether it's attitude,
90%. I think 90% probably want to pay him.
Yeah, 85, 90.
So to me, I think what this is coded criticism for, it's people who are upset that you paid Dak. But they didn't have a financial choice because of the way the contract had already been structured, and that they would have $40 million sitting on the quarterback books with nobody there playing for it. And they couldn't stomach that. They couldn't stomach financially committing that to somebody who wasn't here. It was too much. They have a tough time just right now swallowing the fact that they had $6 million on the books last year for a running back that wasn't here in Ezekiel Elliott. And they have that $6 million on the books again here today. So I think that when people complain about that or people talk about that, they're talking about Dak specifically. They're not talking about other guys. Maybe they're talking about Diggs. Maybe they're talking about Steele. But really, they're talking about Dak. And the reality is, okay, but it's a non-starter because they weren't going to walk away from it. They couldn't walk away from it.
Micah did respond to this from Ian Rappaport after the game. John Machota with the quotes. I understand how the business side goes. There are no hard feelings in this business, whether I'm here or anywhere else. Obviously, I've stated I wanted to be here. At the end of the day, I understand the business side. I put in a lot of work, played hard too. So obviously, if sides can't agree to those types of things, it happens like that. But if I'm just happy to be here, I'm going to keep playing hard. I'm here for the next 5 to 6 years. If I'm going to play hard there as well, ain't nothing really going to make a difference. Micah is going to play hard. So we finish up with the third person and Micah Parsons responding to that.
Yeah, and when he said this, he genuinely did not seem bugged by it. Like, those weren't just words where he's concealing, like, you feel like
he's there next to him saying
yeah, you don't feel like he's masking anything when he's saying it. But it's also,
I wonder if he's got like a Jerry wink. He's always talking about his Jerry talks, and he knows he's not going anywhere. And I also wonder, amongst the big three that we're talking about contracts for, if Micah values being a Dallas Cowboy more than the other two. Micah already talked about giving the financial break that his agent is not going to love. He's like, well, what's the matter whether it's $40 million versus $30 million?
Yeah.
And that is like music to everyone's ears except for his agent and his family, or maybe other guys trying to get paid. I wonder if Micah values that star more than the other two. I don't know. I'm wondering.
No, I think
it would cause him to take a break.
I think it's worth asking and thinking about it, and I think he does value it to a tremendous degree, because I think, name a team in the NFL, anyone you want, just throw out a team. Titans. Micah Parsons on the Titans is not the head of football content for Bleacher Report. I don't care how good he is.
Agreed.
He's not. And so I think that sort of thing matters to Micah, because Micah has talked about what he wants to do when he's in his 30s and beyond. Micah's talked about, I'm playing until I'm 30 and I'm done. That's why I think it's important that he's 25 now.
And the broadcasting stepping stone applies the most to Micah. Moose, Witten, Romo, Jimmy, Troy. We can keep going. Micah wants to do that after.
Yeah, and he's talked about, a lot of people have just thought, he's just talking. I know there are people who genuinely believe when he says he's not playing after 30. And he said it a couple times. Now, there's a reality of once you get to it, I can't remember specific examples of it, but I feel like we've heard in sports in general, people who say, I'm probably not going to play past my 30s, and then they always do. And so Micah very well could be no different than that. But there are people who really believe him, that he thinks, I got all these other interests I want to commit time to. I'm going to play football. I'm going to use it for what it is. I'm going to be competitive, but then I'm going to go get competitive in other spaces. And that's what I want to do. And I think when he says that, my question was, hearing him answer like that, I was like, okay, is that because you're going to give them the break they want, so you're not concerned about it? Or have you seen up close and personal how CD and Dak have dealt with their negotiations? And we're like, look, if we got to move on, we got to move. And you're just mirroring that. Like, okay, I got to have the same approach of just could take it or leave it. And I need to look the same sort of way.